Don't the capitalists just really want to get rid of them? In a certain sense they do, but in another sense they are valuable. In fact, invaluable. It places in his hand great power. This is what Kosky about to describe. Why these group of people is invaluable to the capitalists. You can't really, they're ace in a hole. It places in his hands, which is the capitalist, a powerful weapon with which to curb the army of the employed. Competition now. Fierce competition. The oppressor pits one against the other, just like he created racism, where he pit the white against the black. You got 1% people. 1% own 34% of the wealth in this country. All right? After the United Socialist Soviet Republic fell, now Russia got the most millionaires. So these rich people have in their grasp a reserve army of the unemployed and idle and a reserve army of the employed. And this is how they pit them against one another. Notice this. What then is the full significance of lack of work? Notice this. It signifies not only want and misery to the unemployed, which is that reserve idle army or the human scrap heap. It signifies not only want and misery to the unemployed, not only intensified servitude to the exploitation of the employed, so to the unemployed is misery and want. But to those who are working under the capitalist system who have jobs are being worked to death. If you got 2, 3 jobs or 1 job, now they're demanding more from you, right? So he said, the intensified servitude and exploitation of the employed. So if you're working, you're more likely exploited, all right? And your work is probably more intense because they're trying to get more out of you because profits is what they need, all right? Not only is that coming from, not only do the capitalists have this going, the misery of the unemployed and an intensified servitude and exploitation of the employed, it signifies also uncertainty of livelihood for the whole working class. For example, at one time you had a man who was educated, and by him being educated, he can go do some negotiating because he was rare. It wasn't many educated people. He can go do some negotiating, get himself a good price, a good pay, and possibly work himself out of oppression. But now, what the capitalists have done, they have bought into the whole school system. Meaning, they started to publish everywhere. Go to school, go to college, on your billboards, go to school, go to college. You know, the Negro College Fund and go to the Army and then get your college tuition paid for. Go to school, go to college, go to school, go to college. They pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. What was the purpose? Is there a benefit for capitalism in doing this? Yes. Put yourself there. You got one man who has skill and knowledge and understanding. He can negotiate his way. But if you got 10,000 men with the same skill, the same credentials, and the same understanding, now that one man no longer have leverage. The purpose of the capitalists is to educate as many as they can and put them in debt while they're doing it. That's why a bunch of college people coming out of school in debt, not finding a job in their own profession, but however, they had the credentials because it's not enough jobs. That's why they're not finding the jobs in their profession, many of them, because it's not enough jobs for y'all. You've been fooled. You've been tricked. All right? They done tricked our parents. They done tricked our grandparents. Oh, send them to college. Now, the capitalists have a greater reserve. Unemployed, educated, got your degrees. They could pick from you when they're ready. So the educated man who got his degree, who is working, unless he's under the intense exploitation of the oppressor, and if he decides to kick against his exploitation or confront the oppressor about his wages and confront the oppressor about how strenuous his job has been made to him, the oppressor got 10,000 to choose from because he done conned everyone to go get educated. People, notice this. Here's another book called The American Myth. The American Myth. Okay? And this is chapter 18. And it was a essays. It's a book of essays. And this essay is by Tom Christoffel. Okay? It reads, can United States capitalism reduce its high level of unemployment in the following selection? Tom Christoffel argues not only that it cannot, but states that unemployment rates are much higher than ordinarily realized. There is, in fact, a massive, permanent job shortage which capitalism cannot alleviate, from which, in fact, capitalism actually benefits, since it is primarily by means of such high unemployment that wages are kept down. This is what Kautsky was explaining. The oppressive system is causing people to collide against one another because they're depriving people of their livelihoods. You keep wages down. You keep the people educated so you can choose from your reserve army of the unemployed. Just in case your overworked army decide to kick against you, you can pick someone out the batch who you don't convince to go to school and keep wages down. Now, even attorneys, it done made the attorneys now, coming out of law school, being hired through a temp agency. Have you ever heard that? Well, what is this all about? Well, firms are going to keep they want to make more profit. Some lawyers now coming out of law school making as little as $13 an hour, $26 an hour. Why? Lawyers now going through a temp agency to find work. You have to understand the system in which we're dwelling in. All right? The system is about profits and gain, people. Profits and gain. All right? That's why they're at war, for profits and gain. It's a way to exploit what they deem the weaker countries, to go get their resources and rob them of resources and plunder their land, and at the same time do something with the masses of the unemployed who they don't want to take care of anyway. Send them to war. Send them to war. They make up 30 to 40% of the homeless war veterans because they are the poor. Just as the feudal system was, so as it is now when the rich send the poor out to go fight so that the rich can continue to get richer and the poor can continue to be under oppressive and exploited systems. I want to read a little bit further out of this this book here, the copy of this book that I have here. All right. Permanent job shortage. All right. As Mr. Christoffel stated, that capitalism actually benefits off of this high unemployment. All right, as we continue, as Mr. Christoffel stated that, excuse me, capitalism actually benefits off of this job shortage. And the reason being, according to Mr. Christoffel, is primarily by means of such high unemployment that wages are kept down. Now we're going to go further. As more men and women are thrown out of work, the economy as a whole is cooled down. The cause-effect relationship is, of course, complex. It really is. And that's how the deception of this oppressive system is able to stay over people's heads. People don't know who the real enemy is. You think it's if we go to school, okay? Even if, first of all, it's not enough jobs, you think we get some more money. No. That's not going to solve your problem. If you want to eradicate the problem, you got to eradicate the social system, which is the capitalist system. It just got to go. The cause-effect relationship is, of course, complex. but most important are two facts. First, with increased employment, firms begin competing for skilled workers, driving wages up. Conversely, as the rate of unemployment increases, it becomes more difficult for the workers to win livable wages. All right? The system in which we dwell in, this oppressive system, is causing problems among the people. All right? Now, through this oppression, people can't find work. People can't find pay. All right? Want to eat. Eating out of the garbage. To avoid eating out of the garbage, you would do like the young man said. He's going to go and hustle and do whatever else he got to do. Step on people. Michael Harrington wrote an excellent book called The Other America. All right? Very informative. In this book, he's talking about research of the mentally ill. Not people in the psychiatric hospitals, but the emotionally disturbed. Them also. Not to the extreme of someone in the psychiatric hospital, right? But to the emotionally disturbed. He says here, still, current research points to a direct relationship between the experience of poverty and emotional disturbance. So it'll start to affect your mental disposition, this poverty, this slum, all right? He said research is finding this. Direct relationship between the experience of poverty and emotional disturbance. All right? Their sickness is often a means of relating to a diseased environment. So this sickness of emotional disturbance is related or is often a means of relating to a diseased environment. Until this is understood, the emotionally disturbed poor person will probably go on hurting himself until he becomes a police case. So he's saying they're going to get violent. All right? Through the poverty brings violence. This is what Moses was describing in the book of Deuteronomy. Chapter 28. The book of Deuteronomy, 28th chapter, Moses was describing this under the hostile conditions of oppression that the people who missed the mark and being obedient will find themselves in. But before I read Moses, I'm going to read a little further here. And Mr. Harrington further adds, excuse me, let me grab this other part here. I left it here. Mr. Harrington further adds that in the first place, this violence is the creature of that most artificial environment, the slum. He called the slum artificial because that is not how man should live. That's not a natural environment. This is created by an oppressive and exploited system. Oppressors and landlords who oppress. He said, listen, in the first place, this violence is of the creature of the most artificial environment, the slum. It is a product of human density and misery. This violence or this disturbance that this emotionally disturbed person will fall